Good evening, good anytime, dear brother and sisters. I am Reverend Cosmas Obi Okuk, founder of the EJAGHAM CLERGIES Association for Peace and Development. I come before thee to share with you our vision, our methodology. Those basic principles behind what motivates us to think about peace and development, especially as clergies. I am drawing this inspiration from the divine principles, the revelation God gave to Reverend Sun Myung Moon. And his life has become the standard because he put in practice these secret principles of life that many of us haven't yet discovered. We might have come through them, but we might not have studied and discovered them. These are indispensable principles that make us live. Or when we live today, whether we are evil, whether we are good people, we are still, functioning on these principles. Either we are functioning in the way that God wants, or we are functioning against the way God wants. These are basic principles in life. We're going to talk detailedly about our interdependence, our mutual prosperity, of course, and the universal kind of principles and value systems. Let us listen and share together so that we shall find motivation, to make a better life nowadays. I think especially as clergies, it is our responsibilities to substantially live the life of God. It is our responsibilities to pave the way, to set the standard as those children of God to all other people. There are many, of course, who are not yet interested in the aspects of God, who are not even, there are some who have believed but have not yet dug or reached the level of understanding these types of dynamics. Whatever be the case, for those of us who want to pioneer the cause, as children of God, let us review our understanding of our relationship with God. Let us review our lives. And of course, we'll be able to make decisions to move further. Before I go on, these principles, as you see from the slide, is subject, object, give and take relationships. But as it is an aspect of the divine principles. It comes from the foundation of two main principles. In the divine principles, we have about 5 of them, and they are from one level to the other. The first principle is that our Creator God is not just an almighty creator who has just only power for us or just leave us to do things the way we want. No. It goes deeper than just an ordinary creator. The best way to understand a creator today for us living is the case of considering how you were created yourself by your parents. In short, the God we are talking about is a parental God. It's the beginning of parentism. It's the beginning of the relationship of parents bearing children, because they cannot be children without parents. Because of this, it is so important for us to see those aspects that relate a child to parents. Parent must be male and female. And this brings forth the second principle in the divine principles expose. It brings the second principle where we talk of duality, meaning that a system that can generate love and wants to experience joy is in the form of dual natures. So that one nature that takes a senior responsibility to invest in for the other ones, and the other one responds. The investment is loving, and when the other one responds by fulfilling its purpose of becoming an object in relation to the other, to the subject, it gives joy, and it becomes a purpose of we are created for love, to be loving beings, so that we give joy. We are also beings that give joy to God. For us to receive God's love, we ought to give joy to God. So in these two principles, very important, the principle that our origin is a parent, and the principle of dualities, that these parents are dual natures of male and female. We see God echoing this in the divine, in the book of Genesis, that he created human beings, male and female. And that's why human beings needed to become his children, being that they resemble the parents. They must be male and female. All creation is in the form of dualities. All relationships are created through a dual system, but it has a systematic order that it flows for a whole relationship to be developed. Now, I want us to understand what keeps the how dual entities, dual natures or creations of God, how they interact. And when they interact, they result into a cosmos. They result into an environment that will be able to inherit the love of God, experience it, and then transcend it. It creates, a journey of everlasting movement into loving. And it makes the entire cosmos, it makes the entire environment of all entities existing to be harmonious. And then they share one direction of operation, one direction of desires, moving from a lower level to a higher level. That is from a lower level of experiencing and receiving love to a higher level of experiencing and receiving love. A lower level of giving love to joy to God, and to a higher level of giving joy to God. In a holistic format, meaning that though you may feel as an entity, but you are not single. You must be entangled in relationship, whereby they are interpreted and understood in the form of dual relationship. You take a relationship and you achieve something, and this thing now makes you existing. So there is no way in the way God created that a person can live as, in short, in isolation. Everybody must live in interdependence with all other creations. Yeah, this is what we're talking about. The truth of God is very systematic, it's very scientific, it is universal. It doesn't have boundaries of religion, it doesn't have boundaries of races, it doesn't have any form of boundaries. It is a cosmic, way of life where you belong to the cosmos and you are an integral contributor in the cosmos. You make the cosmos as well as all other partners. So by the time we interact, we develop, we grow, we get bigger, the cosmos grows. This is how it is. And I want us clergies to take special attention, or pay special attention to this, because our lives have been should be a standard for all people, not only human beings, even spiritual and physical creations. We know about the angels. Even physical creations are counting on our lives, on our lifestyles. Now, I have said that our God, the Creator, the origin, is a parental origin. The highest, I can say, attributes of understanding God, our Creator, is that He is a parent. For us human beings to become children, and the entire cosmos become where He lives and we live. Now this God is in dualities, and all creations are in dualities. In the divine principles, something very interesting is inside. There is the appellations given to to entities, to dual entities. We have, for instance, the subject entity and the object entity. I have not gone further to give many examples of dual natures, but the commonest ones are that as far as an individual is concerned, an individual has a spirit body or inner man, and a physical body or outer man, something like that. So they are dual. You as an individual, you have two bodies relating and connecting you to the physical world that is in a dual nature to the spiritual world. Your physical body is a dual nature to your spiritual body. Now, another good example is that if I am a human being, I am male, and there is a female, we also become dual human beings, because we have to relate. Of course, you can even say that parents and children are in a dual relationship, or are dualities based on their relationship. So this is what the divine principle says, that let us call one of them subject and the other object. The general characteristics of dualities include the fact that all of them come from God. Because they come from God, they share the same motivation, they share the same direction. They have dual purposes for the sake of God and for their own sake and the entire cosmos they live. And in deeper sense, their relationship with God, for the case of human beings, is by lineage. It is through God's image lineage that human beings bear that we have the power to exist as a male or a female dual entities. Even if your spirit body and your physical body, they are related and connected to God, their power to be a physical body, a spiritual body, all is coming from God. That is one important thing we should know. Meaning that all dualities relate with God first before they can relate between themselves. And then they can relate with the output. That is what we want you to understand. So I want to limit it in just the case of subject and object relationship. In this diagram, the subject relationship, the subject entity, the object entity, though you don't see from the diagram, are considered to be connected with God. They are not on their own. Their power to be what they are is connected to God, comes from God. So it is God that has filled subject with a certain potential, and it has filled the object with another potential that permit them to relate. And in the divine principles, we use the word give and take relationship. It looks simple and it looks interesting. It defines how they relate. One gives and the other receives, and the other also gives, the other person receives. I want to bring clarity here. The giving and receiving are unique. Take note, these are unique giving, unique fulfillments. Now, this subject entity, let us consider subject 1, is connected to God with a unique potential, and it wants to relate with an object entity. It is subject because it is the one to take responsibility. It's like it seeks for. It's like it desires most in order to have a partner of relationship. It has enough to give to bring another entity into a relationship. So it is the pioneer, the one that takes the initiative first. That is why it is subject. And when it takes the initiative, it starts investing. When we say give, it is giving that special potential it acquires from God to the object partner, which is it wants to keep for a relationship. It keeps on giving that potential until the object receives these potentials. But the receiving this potential by the object partner also is a procedure. When you see these figures, 95% and 5%, is to explain, that the way the relationship unfolds. It unfolds that the subject partner, which is subject 1, invests a lot of its potentials. And these potentials develop from what I have there. It starts in the form of service, it develops to sacrifice, and it develops to selflessness. By the time it is moving to selflessness, it is investing almost 95% of its potentials for the object partner. That is what it means. So we are saying here that this investment is loving. It's the investment of love to experience loving. And this also brings a definition of the relationship of loving. Love is not 50-50. It's selfless giving. What do I mean selfless giving? Selfless giving is about 95%. But remember, 95 starts from 0. Let me say from 1. So let me just arithmeticate this explanation. Imagine that subject 1 gives about 30% of its potentials. It can experience service by serving this one. And then by the time it goes beyond 30%, around to 60% of its potential, it is experiencing a sacrifice. It is sacrificing itself. But it's not enough. It goes almost to 35% again, 34% of this giving, which moves to 90-something percent. It's like it is giving all of itself. That is why love is experienced by your partner when you give, 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 give. Give without ceasing means it's like you're giving, emptying your entire self. So love is experienced when you invest about 95%. And the object partner will be receiving this 95% by spending about 5% of its own energy to make a 100% relationship. Now it will receive the love. Oh, it has received love. It has received a potential from subject partner. Now what it will now, also start responding to give something new of its own potentials. It is not giving what it received. It is giving what this one has provoked, what this one has, stimulated, which is its own potentials, which is unique. It starts delivering it now to the subject partner. So it also starts becoming a subject. That's why it becomes the second subject, subject 2. While this one, entity 1 was given, it was subject 1. When it was given, the blue line indicates it is first given, it is subject 1. Now, this object partner is given as subject 2, giving its own potential. The red color reflects its potentials. It starts giving. It also has to respond by giving 95% of its own self. And this one receives it through 5%. In the end, when this give and take relationship is completed, they now become one entity. That is the magic inside. So when they relate the give and take, they create a new entity. Let's give that one name subject 2. Subject 2 now will look again for another object 2 and develop another relationship. It will now get complete. It leads to subject 3. Subject 3 will be bigger, will be more powerful, will be more impactful as far as the life of God and the existence is concerned. It will be more integrated in the cosmic dynamics. It becomes more stable. That is how it moves. So the larger and larger, this is how relationships develop. They will develop by not continual living. A systematic development of different subject and object relationships. So, those things I would have loved us to understand is the character of love, what love is. According to divine principles, without investing love from the level of service to sacrifice and selflessness, you have not yet loved. It becomes so difficult for your partner, for the object partner, to give back. So, another interesting aspect here is that in a relationship, each of the entities has the responsibility to give its potentials, through a level of service, sacrifice, and selflessness. So if I'm trying, for instance, let me give this small example. For instance, maybe a husband and a wife. The husband starts investing through service and so forth to love the wife. He does all to the level of selfless giving to the wife. That's why they are now merging up. And the wife now will also start responding to the husband by taking her responsibility to give her unique nature of the husband as a wife to the husband. In the end, they will become one through their children. They will become enlarged. They will increase because they will become a family and which has children, which has themselves multiplied. So this is how it moves on. So every person, every entity, because this entity could be a husband and a wife, could be a father and a mother, could be parents and children, and everything that you want to understand in relation, that how they relate, this is a formula. Whether a molecule or an atom with the electron, this is a formula. It follows the same. It is for everybody. There are aspects of the formula that I want us to understand here more. Now, when a give and take relationship is established, something happens. The relationship increases. The environment develops, increases. Now, I was explaining that for us to understand how these systems develop, how love develops, how all things grow. We grow, we exist, we impact life by give and take relationships, by giving, and in short, by establishing give and take relationships with anything you want, you may consider. Myself speaking with you, I could want to sit down. It's a relationship between I and a chair. All those kind of things. We become a dual, we become in duality, and then we can now establish this relationship. The law holds for everything. So now, if we say, let us see how something comes, how things get big. Let us take subject 1 and object 1. In a relationship that is established between subject 1 and object 1, a perfect and complete give and take, subject 1 and object 1 becomes a new entity. And when they become a new entity, it becomes, let us give it an appellation, subject 2. Now subject 2, this is it here. Subject 1 and object 1 now will establish a complete give and take relationship and become subject 2. Then subject 2 will look for object 2. And now they will establish another relationship completely, and then they will become to subject 3. Subject 3 will look for object 3 to establish a new relationship, to enlarge it. Let me give you a clear example here. Now my spirit body, my physical body are all connected to God. But as an individual, a product is based on their respective the relationship they establish based on their respective potentials God has coming from God, sourcing from God. And now when they establish a perfect give and take relationship, I become an individual. In an individual, as I am, like a perfect person, the two of them are united. I become a new entity. Yes. And now, it means my spirit body and my physical body establish I as an individual as subject to. Now we look for a wife. Now I will look for a wife and we establish a relationship of give and take. I and my wife will become subject 3. And then, because we're a couple now, husband and wife, what will you do? We'll look for new objects, which are children. And the children will now establish a family. You see now that from my spirit body and my physical body to an individual, from an individual to a husband and a wife as a couple, from a husband and a wife, we will develop children and will become a family. So we have increased, we have grown. The environment has increased. This is how things move on. And my family now will now establish a relationship with the community so that I could become the parent of the community. So I will become the head. Now as a head of the community, I will now establish a relationship between my community and other communities. We'll create maybe a tribe. This is how we keep on developing. Every level comes as a result of a fulfilled give and take relationship. And it doesn't end there. It will always desire for a new relationship, larger. In a nutshell, we can define it, or we can see these characteristics as the development of love is characterized by, investing the lower purpose for the sake of the larger purpose. I was investing myself as an individual to become a tribe, a head of a tribe, and to become a head of a nation as a king. That's what I'm saying. And that is how life is all about. Everything follows that system. It is based on this that everything grows. The wonderful thing is that because it comes from God, we have one direction. For instance, let me take age. I can be 5 years now, and I live to become 6 years. I've increased. There's no way I can have 5 years and go back to 4 years. Everything follows but one direction, increasing. These are the things that make the Bible to be talking of the God eternal. God is talking of eternity, moving to one direction endlessly. It is based on this. Thanks to God. Because that power for us to move endlessly comes from God. We must be connected with God by lineage. If we are not connected with God by lineage, we cannot have a position as children of God. and we will not have the potential to live that life. So God made it in a wonderful intrigue, in a wonderful way that he is connected to us, and he keeps on giving us the potential to move and experience the different levels of life. Because of doing that, he also develops. When we become parents like God, who bear children and raise them like God raised us, he becomes a grandparent. Very interesting. Now, let me come to use another analogy, and somehow scientific. Because what I'm saying, I would say, is beyond science. It's even beyond theology. This is a principle that became, I don't know, the founding of everything, the dynamic we call science, and we give all those appellations. Because sometimes in science people say, oh, we have these laws and those laws. But these are fundamental laws, indisputable. They are laws that will keep on guiding science and theology till today. For those who want to make research, nobody can deny it. Let me go to the case of this little biology here. Now listen very well. When we have cells, like a sperm and the egg, they are dual. A sperm comes from a man, from the masculine part of God. An egg comes from a woman, the feminine side of God. They are dual. They now seek to make a relationship with a purpose in order to develop another human being. Now, when the two cells come together, what will happen? Suddenly, as time goes on, they will create tissues. These tissues, a give and take between cells, will result into tissues. A give and take between cells and tissues will now, between the different tissues, because within the tissues you have cells. A give and take within the tissues will result to organs. And a give and take within organs will result to systems. And a give and take within the systems of the body, the nervous system, the digestive system, and so forth, will lead to a human body. And now in a human body, when you look at a human being, what is inside a human being? A human being has cells. He's made up of, the microcosm of what a human being is a cell. A sperm is a micro male nature, and a female is an egg is a micro female nature. So a human body is male or female because of here. But this is how they develop. Now, these sperms at this level are not stable. They want to seek, they desire to become something more concrete that we call a human being. And they keep on working like this. And they develop. This is the format, how things develop. Our societies were supposed to develop based on these principles. Now, let me explain it. Take, for instance, put individuals here, put a family here, tribe here, a nation here, and let me say the world here. This is what is going to happen. In an individual, as I'm standing before you, I need to relate with other individuals, and especially having a spouse of intimate give and take relationship, we develop a family. Families interact as families to bring about the tribe. The tribes interact with other tribes to bring about a nation. The nations interact to bring about a world. Now, what can we pick out, especially now that we are facing very serious problems at the world level? This formula can give us a lot of advice, can give us a lot of teachings on how to resolve human problems. All individuals will always desire to, they live in the world, but how do they contribute to the world? You must contribute to this world that you are living unceasingly by developing a family and developing a tribe, developing a nation and the world. So the world is there waiting for us, our contributions. Now, I will come to another level when I will talk about the cancerous phenomenon. When we fail in our responsibilities, I will explain that. I will come back there. So this is another summary of what we're talking. We're talking of individual purpose invested is for the sake of the purpose of all the larger purpose, the smaller purpose for the larger purpose. These sperms and cells that produce myself standing here, you were not satisfied being that way. They wanted to become something bigger. So that is the procedure. And this power is not their ordinary desire. it is an innate, intrinsic, power from God pushing them to do like that. Electrons, molecules all follow these ways. Let me turn it the other way around and put it in the sense of, let me talk about our fulfillment, freedom, peace, unity, and so forth. Sometimes when we use the word peace, we use the word love, we don't understand how they are framed. But for most of us, when we talk of a family and we talk of a tribe, we can see their relationship. Which one should be inside the other one? A family should be in the center of a tribe. The tribes are in the center of the nation at the center of the world, not the reverse. So now, there is a God who created us, a parent, and he has what we call God's laws. Why is it God's law? Because God is love, and he created us for the purpose of love. This power of relating like this to develop and increase is love. Now, these laws are kept for us. Each entity must be able to fulfill its responsibilities, these responsibilities. By fulfilling these responsibilities, you establish a give and take with God. And when you fulfill these responsibilities, then you can get freedom. Freedom comes, you can be free before God when you have fulfilled your responsibility as an entity for which God created you, your purpose of creation, of existing. For you to be free before God, you will be free before the entire system that God has created, we call the cosmos, physical or spiritual. Now, when you become free and you interact with many free people, the system will experience what we call peace. Peace comes from the interaction of free people. So, until we have peace, we cannot unite. When people who are experiencing peace interact for a larger purpose, it becomes the unity of that system. So, for some people using the word freedom, peace, unity, you must understand what it means, how it comes about. You are not talking of freedom without fulfillment. If there is a law today that they should wear only white dresses and you don't wear, it means you have failed the law. You cannot experience the freedom of that environment. But now, the freedom that has been shaped in politics and nations and so forth is looking primitive, very quashy. Even in churches, it's quashy, it's not universal. What I am talking is a dynamic, very universal, without boundaries of any sort. Even if all human beings leave the earth, all creation follows this system. The sun knows what I'm talking. The ground knows what I'm talking. Insects know. It's very surprising that it's only human beings who are doubting it. Whatever be the case, let us turn the other way around. What will happen if we fail in fulfilling our subject and object responsibilities? When I go back here, it will be difficult to understand. I will not touch this one. I will take the one here. Imagine that cells fulfill a responsibility by becoming together in a give and take, and they have developed tissues. What will happen? Tissues should fulfill their responsibilities interacting with the cells at their center for them to become organs. But if these tissues suddenly refuse to become organs, what will happen? In biology or in medicines, we talk of cancer. This is a cancerous situation that is coming forth. If these tissues refuse to become organs, they will be existing. They will be tapping all the potentials from the cells, the potentials of God, of their source, of their origin, that innate potential. They will stop from taking it forward, and they will become cancerous because they will be growing fat, bigger, and remain as what we call the cancer of the tissues. It may be not very clear there. Let us go to the case of organs. We have some elementary biology. I can name some organs. Maybe the heart, the liver. Not so? Yeah, let us take the liver. Now your liver is here. Instead of the liver to interact with the heart, with the kidneys, to make a system in the body, it refuses suddenly. Oh, I don't want this. I don't want burden. I don't want to live that way. I want to be on my own. I don't care. Now you don't care as the organ, the liver, but the tissues that make you are caring. what will happen? You are in between something now. You become cancerous. Now what will happen is that you don't care, but you're existing. You will now be consuming from the body. You'll be consuming from the body through the cells and the tissues. And you will be growing fat. Imagine that the liver grows so fat that it cannot have a space to live in the heart, in the body. What will happen? It's dead. If there is a possibility, we want to treat that cancer of the liver. Let it not remain growing on its own and forget that it has a contribution, an obligation, irreversible. It is not a choice. It is an absolute compulsory fulfillment that it has to do in order for it to be part of the body. That is it. So, this is a cancerous phenomenon. At any time, I can define out the cancer from here. Any system, any entity that refuses to interact interdependently for a mutual development and, in a universal form, beyond religious, beyond any form of barriers, becomes cancerous. It becomes cancerous. And God will want to treat that cancer. He will want to send that part of the system out of it. The system by itself, just like when you have a cancerous liver, the body as a whole, your hands will be doing every effort. Your hands will go and buy medicines to drink. You will put medicines in your mouth to drink to treat that thing. Everybody contributes. If it is not possible, they can remove it. That is a cancerous phenomenon. Now, that is biology. Let us come to the case of human beings in a tribe, as human beings. If I am an individual here, I get married, I have a wife, and I don't want children, because it is through that family, to create a family, so that we interact with other people and other families to create a tribe. What will I become? My family, it automatically is not wanting to create a tribe. Because the essence of that marriage is to have children and a family. So that it is not enough there, but that family to interact with other families to move higher to the level of the tribe. Suddenly, I want to take care of my family. I want to take care of my wife so much. I may spend all of my life taking care of my wife. I don't need children. Sometimes you have children. I want to spend all of my life taking care of my children. What about the whole tribe? You are not there. You make that family becomes a cancerous family. It will become a family that will be consuming God's power and exhausting it. It will be a family that is killing God. And it's like a family wanting to destroy the cosmos. But the cosmos is bigger, older than even human beings. It will take care of you because it will eliminate you. Now let us go a little bit further. What about tribes? What is happening in nations today? Now, the nations of the tribes of the nations, take any nation where you come from. Why are those nations having problems? One problem is that those nations don't want to work with other nations for a larger purpose. Most nations today are exploiting United Nations. If you are in ECOWAS, if you are in CEMAC, you are exploiting CEMAC for national well-being. That is now reversing it. In that case, you make yourself a cancerous nation. You are exploiting the larger purpose. Sacrificing the larger purpose for the smaller purpose is like in short, that is cancer. That is cancer. You become a cancerous nation. This is the situation with the world today. Many nations have become cancer because they are exploiting their regions. Like in Africa, exploiting African, everything for the sake of Africa. They take it for the national well-being. While they were rather supposed to invest their nations to build a stronger Africa. By the time Africa rises as a continent to interact with other continents to create a world, the nations will be stronger. That is the logic. That is the arithmetic. That's what we say selflessness. Sacrificing the lower purpose for the larger purpose is selflessness. It starts with self-sacrifice to selflessness. Now, when we say self-centeredness, is what? It's sacrificing the larger purpose for the individual, for a smaller purpose, which becomes cancer. So by the time we fail in moving forward by increasing our responsibility for larger purpose, automatically we are cancers. One of the men who are single today in life, who don't want to get married, they are cancerous. Ask the system, it will tell you. What about those families today that are concentrating to take care of their 10 children, 5 children, 2 children? They are cancerous to their tribes and their nations. Where they work is the sweat of people from the nations, from different tribes. Now what people are doing is that you want to enrich your tribe by stealing from the nation. Cancerous. It's destruction. Invest your tribe for the sake of the nation. And now nations are having problems because people have forgotten to invest their nations for the sake of the world. They are now concentrating to damage the nation by stealing from the nations for the sake of their families and their tribes. That is why we are in what we are today. Cancerous. This is what we are trying. What about churches? I imagine that you're a child of God. The God that has the whole world. And you're exploiting, you make prayers for God to give you blessings for your small church. And behold, God, who is your parent, owns the cosmos, the world. It means as a child of God, you deserve to take control of the world. Take care of the world. It means that if we are children of God, the potentials of God in us are enormous, are enough for us to stand up and take responsibility for the world like a family of God. That is what I'm saying. Now, by the time we even make our statements, most often we are children of God. What does it mean to us in relation to what I'm talking? A child of an almighty God who owns the world and taking care of people beyond boundaries, beyond boundaries of religion, beyond boundaries of races, beyond boundaries of ideologies, and you are there with your church people, and that is your own God. So you mean to say that if God comes, He will want to live only in your church or in the entire cosmos and all humanity? Behold, take note, all humanity is supposed to be the temple of God. So what are we doing? That is why, let me share with you, brothers and sisters. When I hear the two parents, Reverend Sun Myung Moon, Dr. EJAGHAM Moon, they are always talking of interdependence, mutual prosperity, universal systems or values, especially centered on moral, absolute moral ethics. This is heaven. These are the laws of heaven. Heaven is not intended to have barriers of religion of any sort. That is why the air we breathe does not know a religious person, does not know you as a preacher or a clergy. It doesn't even know you of your nationality. The sun does not know your nationality. It doesn't care because it is a sun for everything existing. Can you imagine their responsibilities? So what are we doing? What are we doing? That is what I want us to arrive at. Now, I will summarize it. What happened actually is that because of the fall of Adam and Eve, we were impeded. Something blocked us. The presence of Satan in us blocked us from receiving those potentials from God. That would help us to be able to become people who can establish perfect give and take relationship from one stage to the other. And we have become people, because of ignorance, we took a wrong direction. The sin of Adam and Eve, when we say they fall, is because they were rising. They were standing straight, moving towards the way of God. But they fell because they reversed the direction. Now all the potentials of every creation interacting with us, we are wrongly using them. We are using the air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat, the sun on us, and everything God gave us, especially spiritual and physical creation that has not sinned. We are using it to destroy the system that needs to host us. Most cases, we are sacrificing the United Nations for the sake of our nations. National interest surpasses United Nations interest. In the nations, you see tribal interest surpassing that of the nation. This is wrong. This is an auto-destructive mechanism. For now, because the true parents have come and they have reorganized humanity, that they have brought the blessing. In short, we are recovering the lost blessing of Adam and Eve, meaning that we are reconnecting substantially back to God through the marriage of the Lamb. Please, don't miss it. In this particular time that we are living, nationality has failed, tribalism has failed, individualism, familism has failed, individualism has failed, churchism, religiosism, or if you like it, those ways, if it can entertain you or it can satisfy you, put it that way, they have failed. Why? Because we reversed this loss. Now we are receiving the potentials to maintain this loss and pick up, or kick off the right way. That is why, from the advent of the Reverend Dr. Sun Myung Moon and EJAGHAM Moon, and from 1960 when they did the blessing of the marriage of the Lamb, looking very theological, you know, the language is looking, I would say, it's a language of faith, very well brandished, but substantially, it is the elimination of satanic field that blocked the overflow of God's presence in us. Like a battery, that the cable is rusted, it cannot now send the current energy to maybe a bulb. And now the blessing is like cleansing out that cable and reconnecting, and the bulb now will light. Tell me, darkness will not be again, and we will be a different way of life. It is for these reasons that when I hear them, they speak. Now, some people are picking up with this understanding, and they are seeing that for us to be worthy people, to live and experience freedom and experience peace and unity, we need the blessing of the marriage to reconnect back to God first, before we can fulfill the purpose for which God made us before Him, in order to end up freedom and become cosmic beings who can enjoy the physical world and the spirit world. This is true. So if it is true, what should you be doing now? I would have thought that, you know, undoubtedly, and, you know, without wasting time, let us talk about the marriage of the Lamb, and you become that kind of a citizen, that kind of a heavenly person who can resemble and represent God. These are the dynamics. These are the laws guiding every system today. The nationality and so forth, if all nations want to be okay, either they will perish or they keep to these laws. This is why I am talking. Let us take the lead and communion with our brothers who are in the political domain, who are scientists. We review these things and make good laws. Why is it that the air that we are breathing doesn't have boundaries? We have boundaries. No, it is not right. But it is possible for us to make it very right. So I'm glad to share this with you. I know maybe it is interesting, but it also may entail some questioning and a profound, investigation, engagement in the learning. I am ready. I am ready. I am for that. And I want to do what Reverend Sun Myung Moon and Dr. EJAGHAM Moon have done. I guided my family to do it. I have to do that. I am feeling living. Knowing these things, I feel the power of God in me. Remember what Jesus said. He is a temple of God. When you are a temple of God, do you owe the world or the world owes you? You owe the world. You owe the world the God in you. Bring out that God in you. Everything that the world needs, the people of the world need, is in you. That's another sense of saying that you are a child of God. You are a temple of God. I am fighting and building my family like Reverend Moon did it. And I will do it till the day I will leave the physical world. Please, join us. Join us. I think life is very worth living. If we reconnect back to God, you see that power. You see that desire. You see everything, motivation, abundant in you. You see yourself living a universal being, a divine being. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I would like to receive your comments, your messages. I want us to deepen it. I am very glad. May God bless you. May our true parents bless you. May our Lord Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit bless you. May the blessings of all the founders of all religions, Mohammed, Buddha, and all, even those I may not remember, Let their blessings and their good works bless you and be with you. And I think we need to be better than them because we are inheriting their foundations. Thank you very much. Let us work together. Remember, I am out for you. Okay? Be blessed. I love you all. Thank you.